All right, shenanigans, y'all. You see I got on my lawyer hat, so that means we're going to talk about lawyer stuff. Today, we're going to talk about NCAA basketball eligibility and these old dudes trying to come back and play college ball. Our example today is Charles Bediako. Mr. Bediako played for the University of Alabama back in 2021 through 2023. At the end of that season, he decided that he was going to enter the NBA draft and take his talents to the league. So he took his talents to the league and did not get drafted at all. He played in the G League for at least 2 years. He played in the Summer League with the Denver Nuggets back in 2024. And he decided that he was coming back to college. Now, back in my podcast on December 29th, I talked about these old dudes who had professional careers now trying to come back and play collegiate ball. And I had 3 examples for you. I'll run through them right quick. First, there's James Nagy. Mr. Nagy is currently at Baylor. He was drafted by the Detroit Pistons, and I believe the New York Knicks currently hold the rights to him. He did not play a single game in the NBA. He ended up going over to Europe and played 4 years in Europe, professional ball in Europe. We also have Thierry Darlin. Thierry is at Santa Clara State. He played 2 years in the G League. And we have London Johnson, who is currently at Louisville, who played 3 years in the G League. The fact pattern for these 3 gentlemen is they never played a day of collegiate ball in the U.S., and they are all international. And the NCAA has a different set of rules if you're an international player. Okay, now, so they allowed them to play, foolishly, in my opinion, but they allowed them to play. But the difference here is this is not Mr. Bediako's situation. He is not international. He played for a D1 program and he gambled on the NBA and lost. Now, be reminded that you may enter the NBA draft and withdraw your name before the actual draft day. And just to go back to where you came, there is no penalty. There is no consequence. So you can enter your name in the draft. You can go and do some shooting balls with a couple different teams, get some sense of where your draft stock is. And if you are not in the first round, you can pull out, because you know what? If you get drafted in the second round, all you get is risk. You get no reward. And if you have a meaningful NIL scholarship or NIL deal at a D1 institution, you are better off just staying there and playing more college ball than you are going to the league and getting drafted in the second round, or worse, not getting drafted at all. Now, that is not a new rule, and that rule was in place when Mr. Bediako entered the draft to take his talents to the league. I don't have any sympathy for him. He knew what he was doing. So the NCAA wisely refused his eligibility. But the University of Alabama, since we're in this realm now where the universities are just flouting the rules of the NCAA, even though they are the NCAA, decided they weren't going to take that. So they went to court. And they appeared to have found a friendly judge to hear their case. And that judge entered a temporary restraining order to indicate that the NCAA could not force their ruling of no eligibility against Mr. Bediako, and so he would be allowed to play for the University of Alabama, which is what he did last weekend. Now, University of Alabama still lost, but he played. Now, what makes this shenanigans? Because it just looks bad. And there appears to be a conflict when the judge that decided to grant this temporary restraining order is an Alabama athletics donor and has made meaningful gifts, somewhere between $100,000 and $250,000. Now, am I saying that this judge did something wrong? I am not. I am simply saying that it appears bad. And perhaps he had a conflict and he should have recused himself. But he did not. And so here we are. And so there'll be a hearing on the 27th that will decide whether or not this case regarding to keep him out of D1 play can hold or if the case can go forward. Okay? Now, we've created this win at all costs NIL scenario, and it's a bad environment when we can find ways to let guys who played in the pros come back and play college ball. But wait, there's more. Because, Mr. Bediako was not international. He played for Alabama in a D1 program for at least 2 years. Now we've got Donovan Puff Johnson, who was currently at Ohio State. The NCAA said that he was ineligible to play in 2025. He hit the portal after being at UNC and Penn State. He hit the portal and came to Ohio State. I don't know why they accepted him, because he was out of eligibility. He applied for a hardship waiver. It was not granted. He filed a suit in federal court and lost. But here's the fact pattern on Mr. Johnson. He played in 111 D1 basketball games for 4 years. Dude is out of eligibility. He played 3 years for UNC, having played 65 games, and he played with Penn State for 46 games. So I don't know if it was 4 years or 5 years, but however long he played, he is out of eligibility. So, but here we are. He filed in federal court. The court is like, no, NCAA is right. You are out of eligibility. You're done. But you know what? Ohio State wasn't done, because they filed in state court as well, and they got a temporary restraining order from a judge that is an Ohio State grad. So now, at least for now, Donovan Puff Johnson is also playing D1 basketball in at least his 5th year after having played 4 years for 2 different teams. Now, am I making any statement whatsoever about this judge in Ohio State Court? I am not. I am simply saying, look shady. Looks like you have a conflict of interest. Maybe you should have recused yourself. It just don't look good. So here we are, and he's playing. So what's the problem here? If we have universities and institutions that are going to say, I'm just not going to follow the rules, and they engage in behavior that looks like they are just cherry picking the judges to give them at least the temporary result they want. Keep in mind, Trinity Chambliss is doing the same thing. Found a judge in state court that went to Ole Miss to try to get him some more eligibility after the NCAA has said multiple times, you're out. And so it just looks shady. At the very least, it's shenanigans. Anyway, I think you need to have a change of rules so it's clear these old dudes can't come back and play basketball after they played in the pros. As always, I want to know what you think. Let me know.